will listen to Professor Samir Brahmachari, who's amongst us at the moment. He's one of the most renowned scientists and institute builders in the country. He will deliver the institute lecture on disruptive innovations in healthcare technologies for India to pole vault with soft landing. Can IITians make a difference? Now I'll request Professor Chaudhary and Professor Brahmachari to come on dais. I would now request our Honorable Director, Professor Shantanu Chaudhary, to extend a floral felicitation to Professor Samir Brahmachari. Now may I also request Professor Mitali Mukherjee to extend a floral felicitation to Professor Vani Brahmachari. Thank you, Professor Chaudhary, Professor Mitali, and students. I will now take the privilege to invite Professor Shantanu Chaudhary to give the welcome address.
Good afternoon. First, let me welcome Professor Brahmachari and Mrs. Professor Dr. Veena Brahmachari to IIT Jodhpur. On behalf of the entire campus community and myself, I extend a very warm welcome to both of them. And it's a memorable occasion for IIT Jodhpur to have them visited physically, just crossing the days of online communication, online lectures because of COVID. I think this is the first institute lecture that we are organizing post-COVID period. And that too to be given by Professor Brahmachari is a huge honor for IIT Jodhpur. And it's also very heartening to see, I think, lots of students, and I see many of them are research scholars who are here to listen to Professor Brahmachari. Because if you ask me, and with my understanding and exposure, some of the very distinguished characters in Indian science, if you want me to name, I think I shall name Professor Brahmachari. Not just because of scientific achievement, but also for his leadership, for his vision, and more than that, his active participation in the innovation ecosystem across the country. And this normally, in fact, if we look at with the scientific personalities who belong to the generation of Professor Brahmachari, I think you will hardly find a person of that stature actually involved in creating startups, giving rise to an ecosystem of innovations, and that too in the space which is not so-called IT space that we talk about today, and we talk about unicorns, etc., but in the space of biological sciences. And we all know today the biological sciences is possibly the science of sunshine industries. And industry of future will be linked with biological sciences, because fundamentally, I think the problem least resolved, least known, is that of a living being. And in the process of discovering more about the living being, we shall come across ideas which can make life better for all of us. I think not only just generating the theory and the knowledge for making life better for all of us, both in terms of health issues as well as economic issues and other needs that we all face, but also in terms of the wealth generation, know-how generation, and self-reliance for the country. And the topic that he has chosen, that pole vaulting, that is, we tend to always go through what is called leapfrogging. And here it's a pole vaulting. And pole vaulting with a soft landing, which is actually the most interesting part. I can do a pole vault, but I should not hit the bar, but I should cross the bar and a soft land so that I can enjoy the fruit of pole vaulting. And pole vaulting is actually disruption. If you see, the leapfrogging is kind of an incremental growth, but pole vaulting is really the disruption. And for a young IIT like this, as well as the students who are here, for them, the idea of pole vaulting is very, very important and critical. Because we need not walk the path which people have walked for in the past. We have to charter our new path. We have to charter a new destination for ourselves. And if we want to do that, we have to cross all the barriers that we have in front of us, and that's where the pole vaulting comes up. And I think I'm really excited about, I was equally excited while reading the book From Leapfrogging to Pole Vaulting by Marshalka, and I'm also extremely excited to listen to this lecture. And from a personality, I think I have heard about many more than many others in various contexts. I know how distinct and distinguished he is. So, my friends, we are all waiting for a fantastic experience for next 1 hour. And let me welcome Professor Brahmachari again to this gathering and this occasion that we are having now to listen to him. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for the warm address. Now I'll invite Professor Mitali Mukherjee, Head of Department of Bioscience and Bioengineering, IIT Jodhpur, to introduce Professor Samir Brahmachari.
Good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to invite Professor Samir Brahmachari and Vani Brahmachari to IIT Jodhpur. I would also like to thank Professor Brahmachari for consenting to deliver the institutional lecture. Professor Brahmachari is presently the Academy Professor and Chief Mentor for Promotion of Data-Driven Applied and Translational Research in Academy of Scientific and Innovative Research, which is ACSIR, and Chief Mentor Open Source Drug Discovery. He is also presently mentoring several startups in the healthcare space, genomic medicine and big data analytics. Professor Brahmachari started his academic career as a chemistry student in Kolkata and moved on to the famous molecular biophysics unit in ISC for his PhD. He carried out pioneering research in the area of structural biology, where his group, amongst other things, solved the complex structure of telomeric ends of the chromosome, which I'm sure you have heard in the context of aging, which has gained so much prominence. In 1997, he moved from his position of Professor of Molecular Biophysics at IISc to head a CSR institute in Delhi, and founded the CSR Institute of Genomics and Integrative Biology, IGIB, which is called, in 2002. In 2007, he became the Director General of Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, the largest chain of publicly funded industrial research and developmental institutions in the world, and also Secretary, DSIR, Government of India. Professor Brahmachari, who is popularly amongst all his knowns, pioneered genomics research in the country and was amongst the first to initiate computational and information sciences with modern molecular medicine. He has initiated many new areas of research in the country, way ahead of time, starting from genomics and diversifying its application into precision and personalized medicine. He conceptualized and implemented functional genomics in India and the Indian Genome Variation Project, and made landmark contributions in developing the first comprehensive genetic map of India. He also led Indian team in Pan-Asia S&P Consortia with participation of more than 10 countries across Asia. Under his mentorship, Ayur Genomics, a new area of convergence of Ayurveda science, a traditional personalized medicine, and genomics was initiated way back in 2002. Drawing from his worldview about the global future of medicine and deep experience of working in populous developing country, he conceptualized and established the open source drug discovery for tuberculosis, a collaborative translational research platform for affordable healthcare, by mobilizing a community of 8,700 college students and volunteer research from 130 countries, a model for Science 2.0. During his tenure, he envisioned and created the Academy of Scientific and Innovative Research to generate human resource for transdisciplinary research by leveraging the infrastructure and scientific strength of CSIR, and pioneered several inclusive innovation models. He's received all prestigious national science awards, so I would, meaning the list is too big, but it ranges from Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar award to Bongo Vibhushan, to name a few. He is also internationally recognized as, because of his role as genomics pioneer in India. He's been held the membership of Human Genome Organization Council, and also served on many prestigious committees, noteworthy being the advisory board of X Prize in Genomics, Archon X Prize, USA member expert on Human Rights and Biotechnology Commission, lots of things. So I would, he's also an elected member of the World Academy of Sciences and all the 4 Academy of Sciences and Engineering in India. Personally, this is just I have been a beneficiary of nearly 3 decades of association with both him and Professor Vani Brahmachari from student days at ISC, to joining him as a young faculty nearly 24 years back now under his mentorship. He's been a brilliant scientist, a great visionary, teacher, mentor, trendsetter, leader, and administrator with a rare, inclusive, and empathetic mindset. Most of us have been able to take up a number of ambitious, uncharted initiatives under his leadership. I think nearly all his associates hold very prominent positions in academia, industry, and also as entrepreneur. He has built and reoriented organizations, be it IGIV or CSIR, and much of the vision he laid down a couple of decades back saw its fruition during the COVID times. One of the unique aspects that we enjoyed as IGIV is a kind of flat operational structure he built, where leaders were not created on the basis of hierarchy, but on the basis of functional needs and expertise. So he's developed new models of public-private partnership in biotech space that are emulated by many. I think what makes him unique is how he's been able to carry out competitive research in India in different time periods in the country, strategizing on resources, unfair advantage that the country had to offer, traditional knowledge, and young talented pool of computational graduates. Sir, at IITJ, you may now have realized that under the mentorship and leadership of Professor Chaudhary, we are trying to establish a unique transdisciplinary framework capitalizing on rich resource of diverse area of engineering sciences, and have taken up a number of initiatives that are resonant with a lot of things you had envisioned. So I would now like to invite you to deliver the talk on disruptive innovations in healthcare technologies for India to pole vault with soft landing. Can IIT make a difference? Thank you.
Your phone. Mitali has given the lecture, so I can now take the questions, right? Almost she has done the job.
Thank you, Professor Shantanu, for your very glorious introduction, and whatever little time I have spent, I can only tell that God makes some people for others, and you have a director who is made for others. I had a 3-hour Zoom meeting with him before I physically arrived here. And since in the plane we were sitting together, continuously we discussed IIT Jodhpur, his vision, his aspiration. So he's a dream seller. So leader's job is to sell dreams, and others' job is to execute those dreams. I will share with you today my journey. I was not prepared to give a public lecture. Suddenly I got this, so I don't have it my laptop, so I have this other laptop. It just reminded me 20 years back in a similar auditorium, but there was no social distancing, filled with 700 students and faculty of IIT Kanpur, I addressed. I was desperate to attract young talent who wants to get into this new world of genomics. Can I ask you, how many of you are here in whose 12th class there was no biology? Raise your hand. Ah, I'm so glad. As Dr. Shantanu said, we are living in an era where our biggest challenge will be to understand ourselves. Where we came from, how are we, why we think the way we think, why we fall sick, and how we stay well. So we are actually in an amazing time. I tell those students who are not in this hall, they are missing that the opportunity that life science gives you as an engineer. Biology has become too serious a subject to be left to the biologist. It needs quantitative engineers. And we need mathematicians. We need super smart people to solve problems. Because biology has suddenly opened a huge amount of data that we do not comprehend. And no other field has given, other than astronomy and things like that, so much of data. And the data of ourselves, not somebody else. We are the people. And genomics opened that opportunity. And this comprehensive data, to understand, we need artificial intelligence, machine learning, new data structure, complete new algorithms, which are not developed today. We will need very different way. We will develop sensors where the data will be collected. So today, I tell you story, take you back, and say how one dreams and how one built an institution. I came to Indian Institute of Science to do PhD. I was very fortunate. After my PhD, I was very quickly absorbed as a faculty. And Satish Dhawan said that we don't recruit lecturers, we recruit future professors. So when I went to CBT and I was recruiting people, so I told them, I'm not recruiting scientist C or scientist B. I told Mitali, like all of them, I'm recruiting future Bhatnagar awardees and fellows of the National Academy and the people who will solve the problems of others. So I have 3 measures by which science is measured. One, the science that you do is others are ready to listen, right? Somebody pays you to come. Somebody takes care of you. Your science must be that good. Somebody has time to spend and listen. Alternatively, The science that you do, somebody pays for it. Somebody takes a credit card and say, I want to buy your science. So that means you generate wealth. Or the third thing that science you do, when 1,000 people line up to touch your feet, you made a difference for their life. So in science, success is three ways. There is no one way. Scientific excellence can be all three ways. So I moved from a very selfish-driven science in Indian Institute of Science, where I knew humanity means myself, my award, my recognition, my best student, my next research grant, my next international invitation to give a plenary lecture. It was one of these afternoon, I met Geeta Talukdar at Calcutta, where I went to collect thalassemia patient sample in order to understand how some patients do not need blood transfusion every month, but because they have a 3% fetal globin gene expression. So objective was to again to do the science, but I was very pained to see that there were multiple children, parents coming with one thalassemia child, with second child. So I asked Geeta Talukdar, why is it so? It is so easy to do diagnosis. So she said, yes, but in India we cannot do it. It costs 10,000 rupees, and we have to send the sample to Bombay, and they will send it to Weatherall's laboratory in England, and that will be done. People can't afford it. I felt terrible that I have the PCR machine. I am in charge of oligonucleotide synthesis at Indian Institute of Science. I run the sequencing lab, the first sequencing machine. Why we can't do this? So that motivated me to take up a technology development mission project, which led to development all the primers for prenatal diagnosis for amniotic fluid, thalassemia carrier. And if there are father and mother of thalassemia carrier, you have a 25% chance of getting a patient, but otherwise you can be safe. And that technology was given to Bangalore Genie in Bangalore, and Bangalore Genie commercialized it. And 3 years later, when I went to a thalassemia congress in 1998, I was presented a photograph of 16 children whose faces, those who are born healthy, of thalassemia carrier patients. I can tell you that is better than 16 PNAS paper. This feeling motivated me that the genomics has a future, and this should be done for billions of Indians. However, if this technology is not available, then we will not be able to do it. And in 1995, it was all distant idea that it will take many, many years. So that prompted me to move to IGIB, CBT. CBT was only I think the CSIR 30 laboratories in 35th or 36th rank. But I'm sure if I say IGIB, post-pandemic, everybody knows IGIB, CSIR IGIB. So then I became DG CSIR after 10 years. And then I realized that the students has no character in the Institute of Science, all CSIR laboratories. They are from higher universities. So we created the Academy of CSIR. But if somebody asks me, what is the best thing that has happened during your CSIR tenure? I'll tell, I was in Calcutta just before I was taking up DG-ship. My wife asked me, she comes from Karnataka, Bangalore. By the way, Mitali, you gave all the credits about me, many, many things. You didn't tell I'm also a good husband. Okay? So she told me, why can't you do something? These people are pulling rickshaw and paddling. In Bangalore, there is no rickshaw, right? I said, oh my God, you have all the laboratories. So when wife gives an assignment, it's better than director giving an assignment. I can tell you, you have to do it. So I went ahead and interacted with the engineering laboratories from CMRI, and today I can tell you 1 million electrical rickshaw is on the street. That was my dream. And CMR, I do director, Biswas, Gautam Biswas, and C.V. Pillani director, the Battery Institute, everybody was put together. And from Firodia was brought in, even Sumantrans was done. It's a big story. I won't get into that story, but I'm telling you, at the end, so when my daughter told me that if you are so smart, why are you not rich? So I told her that after I retire, I will earn $1 billion. She didn't believe it. She said, there must be some trick you are making. So today, 1 million rickshaw makes 200 rupees per day extra. That leads to $1,000 in a year, right? And that leads to $1 billion for 1 million people. I have told her, I haven't said I'll make it for myself. I said I'll make it. I didn't say make it for whom. I kept it. So you see, this is a very satisfaction. So when an institution like this happens, the question is pole vaulting. One of the complaints I have, the title I've given today is Can IITians? Actually, Mitali tweaked my title. So I said, okay. Why I'm saying 20 years back, I came when there was Twin Tower broke down. And I knew all IIT students will have their letters in the pocket to go to America, but they can't go to America. So I went and addressed, Dr. Dande was there that time. 14 students of IIT came to my laboratory to transform CBT to IJIB. 14 BTech students. All possible algorithm we wrote, all possible softwares we wrote. It was amazing journey of interacting with them. And they spent many years, at least 1.5 years, till they got their jobs chance. But I tell you, 6 of them are heads of Monsanto, IT, system biology in all parts of the world. And one of them is a billionaire, billion-dollar company, unicorn, he has become. Okay. So this is, so I thought if I had my visit today in a physical form, we'll also create individuals here who will create unicorn. Individuals here, you know unicorn, no? $1 billion valuation company. Individuals here who will make a difference for 1 million people and their life. Individuals here who will excel in science and make a difference. So therefore, I have used the word pole vaulting. Leapfrogging is actually a response to fear that something is happening, I better move. I better do something, new director has come, better I change my science. Whereas pole vaulting is that you do. My belief it can be done. Indian Green Revolution is an example. Indian White Revolution, Amul baby food of CSIR to largest milk producer of the world, and each has technology. I don't know how many of you know, after Bangladesh war in 1971, when PL480 was blocked, India, there was a Nature paper saying there will be 10 million people, Indians will die of starvation. Mrs. Gandhi called. And then 5 years later, same Nature wrote from begging bowl to bread basket. And this was done by tractors, pesticides, all sorts of things happened with ICAR support to create green revolution. We all know IT revolution. We know that how we are, when the world sleeps, how we keep the world ticking. That's why our IT companies made more money during COVID than any other companies have made. India's mobile phone, Indian space, ISRO, brilliant idea of mission, Mars, where you use the gravitation. Can we replicate this in healthcare? And what are the examples in this direction? I believe we can. India can. If we give the right flexible policy, that's the pole stick, and that's the responsibility of the director and the policymaker, to provide the right pole stick so that they can jump. And the incubator, innovation centers are examples. A safety net, support of government for soft landing. You don't want to crash landing. The question is to run faster to achieve the escape velocity. We do many things, but we don't escape the velocity. A strong desire of the talented, vibrant youth for entrepreneurship to scale the heights. This will only happen if the 20s and 30s of young people of India makes the difference. What did we learn from COVID? COVID pandemic, suddenly public interest in biology. Everyone overnight became virologist, learned virology, vaccine, antibody, even R0. I'm sure Chowdhury has learned what is R0 as a mathematician. He didn't know about it earlier. Data analytics, Ayurveda, Mithali must have flooded people, take Geloi, do this, I'm just saying everybody. On the other hand, due to lockdown, people learned how to do online shopping. Like I never done it, so I learned how to do Amazon. I'm an expert now on buying things on Amazon. Some elderly people learned how to deliver lectures. Like I've never done this. So today I am in the evening in London, tomorrow evening in IGIB somewhere else, right? So without traveling. So these are all disruptive changes have taken place. So explosion of learning, breaking the barriers of knowledge domain. This is the message. So break the barrier of the knowledge domain. So adversity increases innovation, power of open access. So power of imagination and knowledge was simply demonstrated during this time by the STEM, the science, technology, medical people. From identification of virus to the antibody to generation of vaccine, including millions of vaccine delivery, is unbelievable what has happened. It has never happened in the history. We didn't have PPE, we didn't have anything. So many things we did, understand the biological action, new therapeutics, development of novel apps, tracking, tracing. Imagine even government coming up with apps, CoWIN and this. It's unbelievable. Young people developing it. So realizing also the power of data sharing and open access. Lancet, Nature, Science, everybody opened up their data on published. So India showed that we are the power when it comes to pharmacy. We could do 2 million diagnostic tests. American president called us to give them hydroxychloroquine. Drugs may not work, but it was ordered. We were in very high power position, right? So how come India became pharmacy of the world? Science and technology capacity, appropriate policy and industrial ecosystem is needed for a national development of affordable healthcare. This is the message. Subsequent slides, if you don't understand, doesn't matter. This is the message. You need an ecosystem and appropriate situation. If you look at 1970, a treatment of typhoid needed chloromycetin, whose price would have been a month's salary of a clerk. Because everything was important. India had these institutions, National Chemical Laboratories, CSR, CDRI, but they were there for 20 years. But they were waiting. We built the capacity. We had pharmaceutical industry. So, but this all happened in 70 when Mrs. Gandhi brought the policy change in IPR. From process patent was introduced, from product patent. This had an explosion. And this explosion led to development of generic drugs. So today, more than 60% of the prescription drugs of the United States are generic drugs and supplied from this part of the world. So this is policy. Of course, subsequently WTO came, rapid expansion of domestic market, international market, India started taking it up. Then we signed 2005, given a 15 years opportunity. We need to discover things. We need to do new things. And that's where India moved into. And by 2016, a new national intellectual property policy was developed, where even open source drug discovery became a part of the national policy. So this is, those who do IT, they always think IT is the best. I can show you total export of India, 9% is pharmaceutical. And total import of India, only 0.6% is pharmaceutical. And that's mostly API from China. Even during COVID, government has taken 51 new APIs to be manufactured in India. You know, I gave a proposal long back that 7 public sectors can do it, but I'm glad that government has taken that initiative. So what does it tell? Summarize that you need the capacity. Build the capacity which you are building here. Market disruption has to be created. You need policy-driven support innovation and implementation of the innovation. This is what we call ecosystem of innovation. And that leads to technology-driven economic growth. So if you want tomorrow technology-driven economic growth, agriculture, industry, this is Industry 4.0. So innovation is the process of integrated thinking. India, the vaccine production is the hub of the world. And this, we had the capacity. We already built the capacity. We were already giving 50% of the world population to Indian vaccine. Look at the result. COVID comes. We have delivered 1,750 million vaccines as of yesterday, against America 550 million. Right? Could anybody believe it? Even I think all of us didn't believe that we really can do it, but we did it. Because we had the capacity. We have taught Angawadi workers, we have taught people. So therefore, capacity building is an important case. So next case study, you know, I'm talking like a management, case study 1, case study 2. Next case study is generic drugs to genomic medicine and genomic surveillance of COVID-19. STI leadership needs bold vision and a passion to pursue dreams. You cannot give it up. Not only you need a bold vision, you need a passion to pursue dreams. This is a management slide for those who want to become entrepreneurs. You know, there are 2 axes. Knowledge exists, technology exists. Knowledge exists, technology needs to be developed. Knowledge exists, no clue about technology. Problem exists, knowledge needs to be developed. This is one axis. Other axis, market exists, market demand exists, market may evolve, no clue about the market. So if you put your science in the first, this upper left, you will be actually doing potato chips. Some people will make it a little Pringle chips, little more variation, something. But real positioning of an institution is positioning in the sector in that last quadrant, where no clue about market, problem exists, knowledge needs to be developed. And this is where genomics, development of predictive medicine in 1997 was. So that was one. By 2003, it has reached this position, and today, by 2019, it is market exists, market demand exists, knowledge exists. So you cannot start today and enter the market. You have to start 20 years back. So I'm sure I've given a research problem, designed Microbe as industrial worker to create hydrogen fuel, carbon plus water, carbon dioxide plus water to glucose. This problem exists, but no clue what the technology will be. So in 97, idea was, and this is true even today, if you pick up a research problem, you should say knowledge-based, natural resource-based, medium throughput to high technology, manpower intensive, cost-effective methodology. That is how the projects were selected. Basically, the idea was large population of India exists, computational skill exists, rich traditional knowledge, how do we combine them to create functional genomics? And realizing this in 1998 with $2 million, when China had $60 million for 1% sequencing, we ventured, and I moved from Bangalore to Delhi with a dream. I was very lucky. Suddenly Mitali arrived and said, I want to go to Delhi. His boss said, I said, wow, India Institute of Science PhD is only export quality. 23 out of 23 is exported. So she decided to come. I was very lucky. Debashish Das, Beena Pillai, Integrated PhD, IISc, they all came in. And this was our idea, that we'll go on collecting samples of the patients by connecting to large number of hospitals and then take big problems, not small problems. Take the most complex disease, ataxia, diabetes. You know, in 1997, if you have told somebody that schizophrenia, bipolar disorder are genetic, they'll say you are mad, right? Even the brain research experts will not tell. I don't know whether our NBRC director is here, but I can tell, even Professor Tandon did not believe it, right? I said, let us take research problem which will not get obsolete in 20 years. Otherwise, you will run out of problem. Ataxia was our first because I started in 93, and today I can tell India is a leader in application of ataxia, and Mitali and this. I show this slide of 1998, when the generic drugs was the biggest news. Business World wrote a small portion in this big article saying genome junction, and it mentioned that housed in a small, non-descriptive building near Delhi University, the sleepy-looking center. So it was very aptly demonstrated. It was absolutely sleepy-looking, okay? And some changes are going to happen. And of course, Dr. Mashelkar gave an interview, being a DG CSIR, that we are taking drug discovery into the 21st century. We cannot be there unless we have 21st century tools. And that was the transformation from old building to the new campus. How was it done? It was done by Lagan team. None of the people had any international exposure. They have never used the machines that were imported. And you can see Mitali Raj is also there, okay? Today, this team is full of heroes. Everybody is a super expert, super thing. So my role was like a bubon of Lagan to manage these people and create a cellular dream. The transformation of the institute was the same journal wrote after 2002. So when somebody says that Dr. Chaudhary has a very short time, I said 3.5 years. Another 1.5 years, 1 year, 9 months or 2 years, he's equivalent to another 10 years for him. If COVID time, this institute can become this, it's another 10 years it can take in the next 2 years. I'll give you an example. People don't know this. What are the models that were built by which? So 2 models were built. One was alliance model, another was R&D service model. Conventional models were standard, that you do something, some transfer technology. No. This was a knowledge alliance, where the manpower you generate will get absorbed into the industry. Today, this model will be replaced by startups, so that you create people who actually create jobs, and they're absorbed, and create wealth. The second model is that you create such a way that you create a large service facility, where you create, and now today, I was talking to Agarwal, that you create a service company which will use your facilities, because every machine will die in 5 years. Use them round the clock and get those business of that. So 3 things were done. Genomet, the knowledge alliance with Nicholas Piramal in 2000, first knowledge alliance in this country, at a, where the knowledge valuation was $2 million. When $2 million, no, 2000. G.N. Ramachandran Knowledge Center to bring IIT students to give them fellowship. So we got philanthropic funding from Punnendu Chatterjee, one IITians, and a venture capitalist, and Center for Genomic Application. This is what went behind building IGIB. So these were very new structures. I won't have time to detail, but I said these are the structures which actually enable things to happen. When we had 20 lakh rupees consumer from Department of Biotechnology for our project. We were, Mitali and all are burning 1.35, 1.4 crores on these projects. We are doing SNPs, SNPs. Same way it was the support, we had manpower generation. So we wanted to create a lot of manpower in IT. So we built a network of companies and people, various people to create network. We even had an edutech informatics company with whom 300 hours of education, because there was no bioinformatician, there was no genome informatician. We had to create them. 80 students, Chaudhary, we used to go South Bank, South Delhi. There is a 300 hours of IT will be taught by those edutech guys, and we will teach 300 hours of. And we made a sustainable model that you have a 75,000 rupees tuition fee. But top 20 will be selected by IJB. But if you are selected best, then your tuition fee is waived. So all sorts of model was created with the funding from the Chatterjee Group. Of course, we delivered the first software package, bioinformatics software package from India, and sold more than 1.5 crores. Even to Riken, Japan, abroad. We worked with TCS to build a biosuit, and this is what made TCS empowered to have a $460 million annual business by 2012. Okay? Of course, Abdul Kalam gave this. So what it says, what does all this mean? The setting up all these models, we realized that infrastructure is very difficult to maintain. So we created an infrastructure place in a rented building, not these beautiful buildings you have, in Okhla, right? With 4 secretaries signing on a 4-stranded ribbon, making a commitment for all departments to commit. And that allowed, I'm sure we have gone through lots of ups and downs and difficulties, but with the leadership of Mitali, it was possible. And what did we do? We created a comprehensive map of Indian genetic diversity. It would not have been possible unless 60 young people were working under the funding of that project, where it was also self-funding generating fund. We demonstrated that Indian population, from Chinese, Japanese, to Caucasian, to African, we spread the whole spread. This makes a difference. So we become the world's, in Tagore's word, এই ভারতের মহামানবের তীরে শকুন্তল পাঠানো মোগল এক দেহ ললিন. So Tagore said 100 years back that the people have come here and their bloods matched. We could create map of genetic risk map, first drug response map in the world. We could actually show that how people with high blood pressure, high risk of diabetes actually had high COVID, if you map this with that. Okay? How malarial risk and malarial death are related. And this becomes, we struggled hard. We almost got Nature Genetics 4 rounds and accepted last minute, then we published in Journal of Genetics. But it's cited. It is enormously cited, hundreds of papers we created. And the most gratifying, if you go to National Museum of Calcutta, which I went with my Punjabi daughter-in-law, I was myself surprised when suddenly I saw anthropology department, last panel is this panel. I said, wow, as a father-in-law, your collar goes up. If you say, oh, your science is in National Museum. Of course, I am also in the museum at this moment. But what did my younger generation do? All the work that ataxia was there, they actually converted it to finish line. See, somebody creates, somebody finishes. Messi gets all the credit for scoring the goal, but the person who gets that pass, right? So it is a team that does. And this went to Lal's Path Lab. Today, NeuroPro is Lal Path Lab's whole panel. And it generations, second generation, third generation, that is my grandchildren, my grand academic children, Mitali student, who actually finishing. And today he just sent me an article on ataxia. It's a it's a global best work that these people, best part is that this work brought Wisconsin to come down to IJB to collaborate. So this, we didn't go to Wisconsin. Wisconsin came to us. Of course, I went to Bangalore, and after retirement, I thought we'll have a startup of a diagnostics, genomic diagnostic, to get some more benefit in the profit sector, in the public sector, private sector. And I can show you, each of them gives you a great satisfaction that a disease problem that you can give a better treatment. I won't go into detail. I'm just trying to show you what are the opportunity. Here is diagnostic odyssey, 9 months, 7 months. Parents are taking a child to n number of possible. You do a genetic test and say, that's it. It is a neurological, nothing much you can do. It is sad, you feel, but it is actually a solution to the parents. Third possibility comes when you can say, okay, this child has this problem, but we can do a prenatal, and you can have a healthy baby. So these 3 solutions is what this startup could provide. I'm very glad to say that during COVID time, we converted this company to do COVID diagnostics and helped thousands of people in Bangalore when there was shortage of diagnostics to give diagnostics in 6 hours. RT-PCR, 6 hours delivery. And that was the greatest satisfaction. Look at IJB. At the same time when COVID hit, IJB converted sickle cell anemia CRISPR project into Feluda diagnostics. This was 200 days from the work to the transfer of technology to Tata MD check. Everybody told me, 200 days it has happened? I said, yes, because there was a 20 years of preparation behind it. When our one young girl asked Picasso in a cafe, can you do a sketch for me? He said, yeah. So 3 minutes, he sketched his face. The girl said, can I have it? So 1 million franc. He said, 1 million franc? 3 minutes? He said, yes, but there is 80 years of experience behind it. So in science, nothing happens overnight. If what you build today, thinking of tomorrow is what will generate. So when I was DG, I wanted 100 genome of people who are 90 years plus sequencing. It was done. Then, of course, after that, 1,000 genome project was taken as an indigene. And this 1,000 genome of Indian, today it is largest sequence is happening. And I had a dream to have a card where my genome, I don't know whether, Mitali, you must be having your genome done. Mine is done. So I have a card with my whole genome. This was a dream of when I was director, 15 years back, that I will have a credit card which will have my genome with a QR code. It was prepared, but it was false. There was nothing behind, right? Today, actually, we have. So it was a 15 years back dream, and you can have it. Now, this knowledge base of sequencing allowed surveillance during pandemic. Very early detection of the new variants. See by month how each state variant is changing, how various variants came up. All this was possible by large number of young people who actually were trained for preparation for this genomics. In genomics, in 2001, we had an idea that there is a personalized medicine in Ayurveda and genomics must have a relationship. As usual, Mitali was on my right hand to say, Mitali, ek baar padh le una kya hai. So Mitali had a Pandit guy upstairs, Sanskrit, right, in your flat. And he approached that, the Pandit gave, because I didn't know what is this Bhat, Pit, Kap, 3 triangle. Let's understand how is it. And you will be surprised. We wrote research grant. It was rejected, saying that it is, because that time it was BJP government, So it is politically very useful, but scientifically has no basis. It took us 7 years to publish first paper in Journal of Translational Medicine, 2008. You are a director, so you don't give up. 2010, first time the paper arrived in PNAS. Mitali was the architect, and with a Sanskrit sloka in American Journal. So this, I'm sure, at Jodhpur IIT will take into a new level of, I would take whatever I heard today. Need to dream of disruptive innovation. Open innovation in drug discovery is one such thing. What will people say? Most of young people, I can tell you, what will other people say is actually the sentence has killed more dreams than anything else in the world. You should read Richard Feynman. What do you care what others say? So, my question was, when genome sequencing has come from millions of dollars to $1,000, why drug discovery goes from $1 million to $1 billion? It doesn't make sense. So need innovative technology, intervention, affordable approach, something. So when you have a strong IP, it actually availability increases, but strong IP decreases affordability. So therefore, a new strategy has to be done for diseases of neglected diseases like tuberculosis, because even today, as I finish my talk, 1,000 people in India will die in tuberculosis. More than any time COVID death. But there'll be no news item. There'll be no India TV covering it, because it's poor people are dying. So my argument was, can we look at the drug? Can we work on it? Can we build a system-level understanding? What is system-level understanding? You as an engineer will understand Wright brothers aircraft was a trial and error, and that is how it went on till Jumbo. It is only 777 and 380 Airbus was computer designed, computer flown, before manufacturing was done. Can we do this for drug discovery? Drug discovery is still in the Wright brothers era, trial and error. So can we use all possible tools to understand a system? My dream was to have a human inside the computer, but it's too complicated because 23,000 genes, so many reactions. So he thought we'll do a bacteria. Bacteria has about 4,000 genes, 1,152 reactions, 890 genes involved with about 961 metabolites. So we built a platform to build this, and this is where the open source drug discovery, what we call LineX for pharma, was established. By 2013, we have 8,700 students and researchers from 130 countries participated. It became the world's largest crowdsourced activity on science. So basically, March before COVID, in 2008, we actually created virtual laboratory of working on wherever you are. So this is the big mind. So we brought the people in this. These were the comments. It's completely untested paradigm. Students can't do it. You'll not get quality, all this. But what happened? 45,000 papers were read by 800 students, completed in 100 odd days. Annotation was done, complete annotation, which led to the publication from Human Network. If you look at the list of students, they're not from IITs, they're from small universities, it including Germany, including Malaysia. These kids and this work actually created a virtual institution without a physical infrastructure. So today, post-COVID, I think anybody can create an institution without. What happened? We created an open source module. Today, I just want to tell you, this is the largest open source module available in the world, and it has 4.5 million hits per month, 1.5 lakhs. This is open source. This is not proprietary. Anybody can use it for drug discovery. So, and our ranking in the world is second and third in this server. And Dr. G.P.S. Raghav. So to build this, I had to bring 2 Bhatnagar awardees. I can tell you, it's impossible to make work with 2 Bhatnagar awardees together. And all sorts of people were brought in, and including Swami Swaminathan, who was looking at the clinical trial, who became the ICMR DG, and that's the time he shifted the OSDD to ICMR. Science wrote about open source. The Nesta report demonstrated that OSDD is the most cost-effective, highest innovation ratio. So I wrote it 10 years, 2007 to 2017, what did we achieve? We achieved to create a platform how to use system-level understanding of drug discovery. We could identify several leads, including one drug, which is a diabetic drug, metformin, for repurpose for tuberculosis to reduce drug resistance, which is in clinical trial. As I said, our softwares have been, OSDD movement has become global. United Nations created 3.3 SDG target. IPR rule was changed, and Open Source Pharma Foundation was established by Tata in Bangalore, and Indian TB Research Consortium was formed by ICMR to take over the OSDD. So 2007, when I approached Bill Gates, he said a lot of work. Mashelkar actually approached him. So Bill Gates said, open source collaboration between this is the drug discovery future. And as usual, Dr. Mashelkar tweets it, saying SKB was a pioneer in what Bill Gates is saying now, and nobody believed it 10 years back. So therefore, don't worry about it. If you read the book, I suggest this book should be given to the students to read. We do things differently. There are 13 chapters of 13 impossible innovations. And I'm glad to say the bug in the system, third chapter actually covers open source drug discovery when I was not a DG. 2015, I'm very glad that this book was interviewed after I was not DG, and it's an interesting thing to read. CSIR has taken up this initiative. You want that slide for you? I think I have a copy. CSIR in COVID time reopened up, realized how important it is, so they started hackathon and things like that. I won't into detail, but the fact is, again, engage young students of undergraduate, postgraduate students, and allow them to do drug discovery. Because Prime Minister wanted it. Prime Minister asked for a hackathon. Look at global open source COVID activities. There are 10 global open source COVID activities, from vaccine to drug. So you have to dream of dreams that doesn't exist. You will do things that doesn't matter. When CSIR decided not to continue OSDD, lots of people were upset. I said, don't worry, world will take it. And today, world has taken it. Last case study. Digitization, a game changer for healthcare. India can be the frontier of science to lead and not to follow. This is a decision your IITian students have to take. Professors cannot. It is only students. Because professors have followed West. We have not given lead, with rare exceptions. We need to give lead. That's why I said pole vault. You know, old age, you cannot have escape velocity. You need young men who will jump, cross, fall, and say, hey, I made it. This is what is for IT students. India's TrueNat TB test to meet challenge of the Stop TB was achieved in India. And this TB test, TrueNat, is a competitor to export, which otherwise completely imported. Just imagine, 40 million tests is done in India at $10 cost, $400 million TB screening, and the entire cost goes to export, foreign export. Today we have. And this is at below the tree you can do this test. You don't need AC room like expert. This is the contribution of the science with CSIR and the company. And this company, during COVID time, on our request, actually moved into creating primers for COVID. In the process, in Bihar, UP, in the village, district level, below the tree, you could do COVID test. And I can tell you, Bangalore, 11 hospitals acquired this because there were people getting negative COVID test, but CT positive, oxygen level falling, so they need a quick test, but its throughput is low. Only 4 can be done at a time. So therefore, they will do that test. Only when you say positive, then only you can get a BU number. Otherwise, you cannot even admit a person. So today you are applying AI for screening X-ray, right? COVID X-ray already IJB has done, several people, and including Mahajan Clinic. But I can tell you, private sector is moving faster than the public sector institutions. There is a doctrinal who actually uses voice to detect. I had a dream that how do we use, this was my pet project. Just before COVID, I was interested in this. 40 million screening, still we miss 900,000 patients annually. We need to do maybe 70 million screening. That means another $300 million cost. But if we can get cough recognition software over mobile, anybody cough, and you say it's a smoker's cough, this is cold cough, this is COVID cough, and this TB cough. Why I tell this, Dr. B.C. Ray, the first Chief Minister of Bengal, a famous doctor, there's an anecdote goes, he was working in an office, and outside the corridor, somebody was coughing. He asked me, who is the coughing? He said, so-and-so. Immediately send him to Lilnatan Sarkar Hospital, he needs hospitalization. And eventually has found he has a very late stage of TB. This is the story, was told to me in a small get-together by President of India, Pranab Mukherjee, to Kiran Singh, and I was sitting there to listen like this. I say, hey, this is brilliant. B.C. Ray, what? That means he has listened to so many TB cough, he knows. Why can't machine do it? So I gave this job to IIT Delhi. Pritesh has made some progress. We created in some dashboard in Bangalore. I'll be very delighted if director makes it happen. And I can tell you, MIT already worked on this during COVID. So there is a paper. So this is the dream. This is the challenge to all of you. Imagine a patient in a remote village of Rajasthan coughs, and you say, hey, you have a likelihood of 90% that you have TB. Immediately, RNTP6 gets activated. He is then tested. So screening-wise, it would be wonderful to do. I realized that digital health, of the rural data we don't have. So I got this idea in 2011, and I got Manurag Agarwal. I said, Manurag, aa jao, tumko ek naya idea as a director, DG, you cannot DG implement. You find somebody has to be found who will implement. So we wrote this paper. Idea was, in a container, you can put it. Because you want to building in rural India, you need too many permissions. Wo hoga nahi. Container baitha do. I just saw you are also putting some container for restaurants and food. So India has a surplus of container, by the way, because we import containers from China, but we don't export that many things, volume of things. We export softwares. So these three were packaged, and I think video is not working, but doesn't matter. There's a video here which, so it actually, the data comes to IJB straight away, and it is in the computer, but it is coming from all 3 village centers. And so this is what the beginning of data collection.
सर जी, मैं तो ये कहता हूँ, जो ये सिस्टम है ये हर गांव में चलना चाहिए. जितना फायदा हमें हो रहा है दूसरों को भी होगा. छोटी छोटी बीमारी के लिए जगह जगह भटकना नहीं पड़ेगा, घर पे इलाज हो जाएगा.
Very good. Today, 100 such containers exist. HP has taken it forward. It is now in Malaysia, Indonesia. They wanted my approval because I am a co-author of the paper, so intellectual property is with us. I said, go ahead and do everywhere. So this is a slide 2009 I prepared. I picked it up for today's talk. I had a dream that this will be the digital health of tomorrow. And everything will be patched, everything will be sensors. I can tell you, when I showed this slide in 2009, again somebody thought, Pagla Kutta ne kata hua. Ye kya bol raha hai, sab kya hoga? But I was with the best minds of the world. I used to spend time in Israel, I used to spend time here. I can see what people are thinking. 2010, McKinsey wrote this report. Distributed co-creation, 2007, we have started OSDD, distributed co-creation. Network as an organization, OSDD is a network. Collaboration at a scale, Internet of Things, experimentation of, and big data, OSDD has already done. Writing for a sustainable world, wearing for a sustainable world, this is a very important, and that's why the TB is for neglected disease. Imagining everything as a service, multi-sided business models, innovating at the bottom of the pyramid. That's what made me to start CSIR 800. I'm sure somebody will appreciate, and producing public good on the grid. Today is all buzzwords. 12 years back, it was a McKinsey report. So, my young people, just read those articles which are not work done. Those are dreams. Like I say, Sidney Brenner's Biology of Tomorrow, those series. Those are articles you will read where people are fantasizing things, not what is already done. Then you will never be the global leader. So, you know the way, this is all you know, analysis of the big data, all this, and things of IoT is what is the institution. I told, you may build a building, but if you wait for the building to come, then by the time IoT of things will be over. So better start wherever you are. You have a garage, now you don't have garage, you have lots of, what is that, booms, barriers, right? So, chalu kar do. You know, I was given 100 acres to build Genomics Institute. I said, forget it. That vertical building exists at CBT in Mall Road, doesn't matter. We will start. And that is how it happened. I'm sure Mitali will share someday her experience, how a room where there is a table tennis playing, I said this will be the genome center, sequencing, robots will run. There was somebody playing carom, smoking cigarette in the building. I said this will be our supercomputer room. Then the room which had a lot of animal feed and cages, I said this will be our molecular genetics lab. I thank people like Vitali, Debashish, Beena, who believed in it. And it is happening, IGIB has happened because those believers. So get young people who believe in it and make a difference. So I'll show you my little startups, 2015-16 onwards I've done. ICHR, because you know, if I ask you to get your vaccine record, you'll say, my parents' vaccine record, I don't know where it is, right? So we realized that we should create a digital platform where the data is collected. Every possible test and records, every child is done. And this was created by my young student who was an industry-sponsored project. My argument with him that if you publish paper doesn't matter, I need patent and either a company or a product. So uniqueness is that hospital records are interoperable. These are all created with platform by which we published that it will be in the cloud. And today this is implemented in lots of hospitals in India. iNICU is another startup in which children born below 1,200 grams often need 8 weeks of stay in the hospital. And this needs multiple machines. And I don't know how many of you know, for 27.5 million, 3.5 million actually prenatal death. 25% of the children who are born with underweight dies of sepsis. Can we change? Each child death is one mother's suffering. Can we make a difference? So what is that? Challenge is the daily weight change, manual data entry, incomplete, delay in getting response. There are 5 machines that work with it. Monitors, warmer, ventilator, blood gas analyzer, everything from different companies. Can we integrate them? And human error. So we integrate it into a Agent box through Bluetooth because we remove the wires so that contamination is less. And then this gets a dashboard. The parents get a app. So parents know they don't have to run 8 weeks going to the hospital every evening to know how is the child. If it is green, doing well, YOLO, there's some problem, dead in danger, When it is YOLO, parents should start going to the doctor and see, please have a look. Doctor also gets a dashboard. So automated vitals are picked up. It generates about 5 gigabyte data per day per child, and the actual nurses only look at something. So it's a big data. So you create an architecture, open source architecture, do not use any proprietary software, and then this bed, then the doctor has a screen who can see this. Today, I think Cloud, Apollo, 600 beds, but I can tell you the awards came from Korea. They said they will give you $1 million, don't get it manufactured in China, because we were designing in Bangalore, taking components. So they have $1 million, so we set up a company in Korea, manufacturing the Korea, those device box. Of course, this was from this, it became like this, orbital. Now the company is in Singapore, the company, we have a branch in Madison, Wisconsin, and it is gone global, and that's the pride I have. Harpreet Singh, you can contact. If anybody wants, I can give him. He's a brilliant engineer, ACSIR PhD with product and company. Next is Cognable. One of my lectures like this in an international forum, a brilliant man who was working for France's largest air liquid company, which is very like a Tata conglomerate, making €500,000. But he decided to do something for the poor. So he came down to India and started this Cognable. This is for autistic children. We have a large number of autistic children, but we have only 35 certified, US certified people to train these autistic children. Very short. So can we digitize? Can we convert this into? And each child in Gurgaon, the parents have to spend about 30,000 rupees for 16 sittings or whatever it is. So what we do, we decided to create a computer vision of this training, technology through mobile as well as platform, and this was formed in 2016. We did reasonably well in the beginning, but COVID had a real problem because collecting data has to be physical contact. So Dr. Manu Kohli Mr. Manu Kohli, he also is he wanted a PhD, so he's joined PhD in IIT Delhi. He's finishing that. It's amazing at 40's age. So this basically a clinical expertise to data scientist. You connect the whole learning process. Then idea is how do we give this at 100 rupees per day basis online. So what do we do? So we got hold of again some IIT kids of Delhi, and we have assessment, we have treatment plan, we have extension, and the whole thing is in the data-centric. So I'll show this video. So this is actually captured by multiple video camera, and the scoring is coming online based on the performance of the child. So this is application of AI directly on assessment of the child. This case, what we have collected data on 35 children, and then this data goes. Unfortunately, COVID time, physical contact has decreased, so we actually could not scale up. And this is a little sad situation I feel about it. So basically, you have a data source, data-driven decision taking, and you decide the child's best aptitude, and based on that, you decide what the child should be doing. The next startup is in Calcutta. It's called Epoch. It is again started 2020 January. COVID hit us. So what we did was, objective was very simple. Take 12th class kids who are, train them 4 months in some medical things, and 2 months in district hospitals from the village, and made them Shastra Shati. So they are helper for, so it's a midwife, they are digitally expert. So now the government agreed to give some startup money to them, 50,000 rupees, so that they can buy blood pressure machine, diagnostic sugar, and then they become entrepreneur. And we become an aggregator of entrepreneur. 1,200 such people we had trained, but as you know, again, movement became restricted. So again, it has taken off now. So that is how the startups go. I'm sure Bala will tell the story. I am involved with IURAI. I can tell you one thing. Bala takes more time of mine than any other scientist I have interacted with, from IGIB to any other institute. And it is a fantastic to have. Is Bala around or still in the meeting? Oh, there. So, and I don't know what to say. That it's very sad that CSIR lost, but the country gained. And I'm glad that Jodhpur IIT has given him a home, because on a similar lecture in Berkeley, I went as a DGCSI along with Dr. Ramaswamy as soon as I became director. You know, Berkeley, we were talk, I just nationalist, tarara, laga diya. So some students and then one blind student comes and says, I like your idea. I don't want to come back to India. I said, what do you do? I said, I'm doing PhD in Berkeley. I said, where do you come from? He said, IIT. I said, oh, this is the kid I want. I said, okay, when you finish your PhD, come and see me. He arrived when I was at DGCSIR office. My PS says, there's a young man has come to see you. Will you? He says, he's from Berkeley. He knows you. I said, okay, Berkeley, aa jao. Long hair, like a hero, with a backpack. You know, DG's office doesn't entertain such people. He looks like a hippie. So he entered. I said, wow, you really have come back? You really want? He said, yes. Siri Pilani, ex-director, is sitting here. Chandrasekhar was the director. I said, Chandrasekhar, I have a boy. Please, I'm sending him. Now, if I send a scientist to a CSIR laboratory, very likely nobody will take him seriously. A young bacha aaya, right? So I sent him in DGCSIR car and said, give him the room which would have given to DGCSIR. So when a person arrives in DGCSIR car, a young man, and getting a room which is a VIP room, whole CSIR lab shakes up. And then he liked it. He was treated royal, like he's treating me in the royal suite in the hotel. He was treated royal, so he decided. We offered him, and then he wanted to be in Chennai. I said, okay, Siri Pilani appointment at Chennai. Impossible is possible. We have to find talent. Respect young people talent. Give them respect as much as you give to chairs and positions. If you can give them respect, nation will get back. I'm so glad that you accepted him as a visiting, and he's a part of this. But you know, we forget women. Bala is what Bala because he could take that decision because of his wife, Gitanjali. So I'm also involved with Edivo, right? He forced me to sign some agreement, I just signed. And I was very happy to see that product is getting developed. The product, I'm sure he will talk about it, how non-invasive diagnostics can be done using indigenous fluorescence of bacteria. So what gives me hope? The millions of fireflies, health tech startups can light up the healthcare in India. This is my hope. And can IITians do it? Can IIT Jodhpur demonstrate that in next 5 years you created half a dozen startups, and one of them goes to become unicorn, or serves 10 million people? Both are valuable. While you create wealth for others, reduce their expenses, create a better health. So I tell you the last experiment, which is from health for all to education for all. I realized as education chairman that rural India needs disruptive technology. And so I created a trust, Sahaj Knowledge Foundation, where using cloud telephony and latent resource, educated housewife, educated retired teachers, retired professionals, and the children from the rural They don't have internet. So it's Khan Academy for the poor who do not have internet. They can make a mobile phone, 2G, using 2G, and they get academic service. I can tell you this, during COVID, this was the only hope they had. And this was no schools. These kids made a benefit out of it. It was so successful that whole West Bengal government used this with hundreds of thousands of students participating. Of course, we created a separate activity for that, rather than blocking our channel. I'm glad to say that Reliance gave the only toll-free number they have given to anybody is to this facility. Of course, I needed Mashruwala's support. So that's the advantage of being a former DGCSIR. And then the best part of it, Haryana wanted this. So during COVID, 12,000 students of Faridabad Education Council is getting benefit. Today, I get everyday data. It is run on cloud. It's actually your cloud sits in Rajasthan, in Jaipur. People operate from Calcutta, students from across, and this is through IVR. This is like an Uber of teachers providing services. So when I became DG, Telegraph asked me, you talked about innovation. So I said, when I was young, I learned to make money by selling maths. You know, if today I was same young, I would have made maths, you know, this whole IIT aspirant kids, all puzzles. See, I used to solve all maths. So when I finished 12th class, I had all maths that is possible in any book I have solved. So I had the whole record. All I had to do, when a question paper comes out of the test papers, I'll just solve small maths, 2 rupees, big maths, 4 rupees, go and give it to press. And press will put some professor's name and print it and give it away. So I was very rich. I'll have Slazenger record, I'll go over these, I will write in Shepherd's pen, I'll have a full Cadbury chocolate, sitting and standing and eating. So this was there, so I said this, so he made a cartoon of me. We don't do anything wrong, but somehow we lost. Nokia CEO said. Read this very carefully. The advantage you have today will be replaced by the trends of tomorrow. You do not have to be anything wrong as long as your competitor catches up and right. You can lose out and fail. To change and improve yourself is giving yourself a second chance. To be forced by others to change is like being discarded. Those who refuse to learn and improve will definitely one day become redundant and not relevant to the industry. They will learn the lesson in a hard and expensive way. It is no wonder it is true for institutions. I have given a warning to IGIB that 2028 will be 30 years, you'll be obsolete, you have to reinvent yourself to remain relevant. So, young people, think of unthinkable, and it's possible. I just wanted to take you through this journey, and thanks to all my students, research associates, colleagues, clinical collaborators, industrial partners, we have been the part of this journey. Thank you. I took extra time, but I thought director by mistake said 1 hour, and Mitali took away 15 minutes, so I just thought I'll do this. Thank you. For young students, whoever wants to meet me, BTech, MTech students, I am available. I'm available till midnight. Is there any question? Is there any question? He said, but nobody will ask question when director is sitting there, no? Does anybody ask questions? Huh? Is anybody there, the back, whom director cannot see has a question? Raise your hand. Is there a mic? You be fearless. The most important thing to do something disruptive is be fearless. It doesn't matter even if you ask a stupid question and director doesn't know you because you are too far away. Go ahead.
So what is the current policy regarding CRISPR-Cas9 in India?
What is the policy?
Regarding CRISPR-Cas9.
CRISPR. Oh, okay. It's a global policy. You cannot manipulate any embryo beyond 5-cell development if it is human. So you cannot do a jumps, that is, you cannot take a human embryo and start manipulating. Nowhere in the world is accepted. However, you can apply CRISPR to change or create bone marrow or stem cells, which will actually can replace a defective gene possible. That is possible, right? But you cannot create a human being, right? You can correct a human being, but you cannot create a human being using CRISPR. I was a part of the International Human Rights, the subcommittee which actually formed under Justice Kirby to formulate these rules. So it is this was the idea, that you cannot make any technology to manipulate a fetal, that means an embryo, beyond 5 division level, that is 32 cells, and create a human being who will walk around. No. You can do screening, or you can do therapeutic application. Is there anybody else? Oh, a last one. I can see a girl.
Good evening, sir. Sir, I have a question, and it goes like this. In today's world of instant gratification, which applies to any device development or any technology, we want it instantly. We do not want to give that incubation period. I have an idea, I want a product right away. But at the same time, we are very well aware of the fact that it takes a very long incubation period to have a very sustained solution. So how does one strike a balance between the two?
Money, my suggestion is quickly take one space inside these new restaurants coming up inside and start selling burgers. Because Mitali will buy burgers from you because there is no burgers available in the campus. Yes, you will make money immediately, right? But you want to create wealth for yourself for the future. Yes, you have to think of that. Doesn't, look at Elon Musk. Look at all successful people, how much loss they've. Have you seen the movie Aviator? Have you seen the movie on Apple, our Steve Jobs? Then we'll know how tough those people. But just imagine, each of us are carrying something in our pocket which Steve Jobs made, right? I'm sure the Gorilla Glass is made by somebody else, but he picked up the Gorilla Glass. So you can make the Gorilla Glass of tomorrow, being a material scientist, so you can become you can really get a lot of gratification. It's a question of what you want, right? The fact that all of you are listening to the 70-year-old man is a gratification, no? And you haven't left the hall. IIT students are not that respectful. If you give things, they will walk. So I can measure, if anybody getting up, then I'll stop the talk. So that's where it is. Yes, you are right. It is a balance. It is possible. It is not that we in IGIB didn't do short-term, long-term. By this time, we transferred many things. As I said, I showed you, IT was the easiest. IT was our brain. It took a long time to do genetic test to the market. So you have to pick up which one you will do and which one you will be doing. But it's an 80-20 principle, right? Those 20% things will give you the biggest, keep burning, and keep doing other things to get some instant gratification. That's the way it is. It's okay? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Brahmachari, for such an insightful talk. And I'm sure this evening will go a long way by inspiring our students and faculty members in contributing to mankind through disruptive innovations in healthcare technologies. Thank you, sir. Now may I please request Professor Chaudhary to present a memento to Professor Brahmachari as a token of our respect to him.
I'm sorry, I cannot carry any memento. The reason is my house, my wife has told me if you bring one more memento, you have to buy another flat. Right? And I don't have money to buy another flat.
You don't mind having this?
I sent it to Paris Museum. My grand academic, the Italy student who has done finished FSC work, he took away 70 of my awards and memento to create a museum in IITians. So maybe I pass on to him.
Thank you, sir. Now moving on, I would like to invite Professor Sampath Raj Vadera, Deputy Director, IIT Jodhpur, and Chairman of Institute Lecture Committee to give vote of thanks.
Very good evening to all. Really wonderful evening. And when a 70-year-old young person is talking to young audience, how audience can live? So really, really a very, very wonderful talk. And kept all of us bound to our chairs, looking at you and your slides. And the message is very simple. We do the things differently. That's what I think is one of the biggest messages. And youngsters are the future. They will be global leaders and do the things in India for India. Perhaps this is the message if we can carry, and definitely our students must have got these things in mind. And I can tell you, with my little experience of about 3.5 years in IIT Jodhpur, this IIT can and will make a difference. That is what I can assure you. And really, we are very grateful to you for sparing your valuable time. This evening has been really a wonderful one, a memorable one, and remain in our memories for a long time. I cannot really, summarize the things, the kind of messages they are there. Each of your word, each of your sentence, each of your slide, whatever case studies you talked, they have all been really, and we all got really absorbed into the things. And I think we have absorbed the things. We'll try to make use of those things. So once again, we express our very, very sincere gratitude for sparing your valuable time and giving this mesmerizing lecture. Actually, Institute lecture, now we are feeling that this is something which is, and this is a kind of benchmark. So we'll try to have future lectures where we can try to see this benchmark is met. We are also grateful to Professor Vani Brahmachari for being with us, sparing her valuable time. Of sincere thanks to our director, Professor Shantanu Chaudhary, for guiding us, for getting these kinds of luminaries to address us, to be with us. Well, we had a very short notice. maybe notice of 4 or 5 days. And to organize the things in 4 or 5 days' time, it's a team effort. And the team effort is, firstly, Institute Lecture Committee. We immediately deliberated, planned the things, but planning the things is okay, but execution of the thing is very important. And that execution requires all levels of people, starting from faculty members, senior faculty members, to students, to staff. So I will not be able to name the people because there are quite a number of people involved, but I tell you, it is entirely a team effort to organize this event. And particularly, I would like to say that, most of these arrangements have done by our younger people, our young students. So I would like to give a big round of applause to all our students who have put so much of efforts to organize this thing in such a short notice. And of course, this will go a long way with us in future. We really once again thank you very much from bottom of our heart for giving this wonderful lecture. Thank you everybody.
Thank you, sir. Now I'll request everyone to join for tea arranged out.